Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber back with his newest weekly guest, Adrian. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing fantastic. I'm alive, excited, and ready for the call, man. I love these calls. Thank you.
Yeah. So, hey, this is a topic I saved for you. I've not had this conversation with anyone else. This is kind of right up your alley. I think this is something that's going to mean a lot to a lot of people. So I want to talk about success and failure. Specifically, most people think they are kind of opposites of each other. I don't actually think they are opposites. I think they're shades of the same color, and it's just how you act around them. So when I say success and failure, how does that hit you? What do you think? What's going on?
Yeah, I think they're nothing more than cousins, right? Success and failure, they're cousins. We, just like you said, we think of them as being opposite, and they're on the same path. In order for us to get to success, we have to go through this little thing called failure, right? And the reason why a lot of us don't ever reach success is because these little check marks in this road to kind of check you and help you understand, we look at it as the world is ending. I knew I shouldn't have done this. All of our insecurities resurface, and instead of us pushing forward, we pull back. And I think the biggest life lessons that I've ever had, the reason why I am, and mind you, we have a long ways to go, but where we are at today is because of all of those failures that took place. At that time, my ego was involved.
Yeah.
I wanted to fight them, but now I'm learning to embrace them, and I'm learning to change the perspective on them, which is interesting.
Yeah. So this is really an interesting conversation. I've had this conversation. This is something we used to talk about in my sales teams when it was just me and my team, right? We wouldn't have these conversations with bigger rooms. I wanted to keep it private. I wanted to keep it within our group, whether it was 3, 5, 50, 80 people, whatever it was. And that was failure only happens if you don't try again. If you get knocked down and you stay down, then you failed. I do not accept failure in any of my teams. We will all make mistakes. We'll all have misses. We'll all have deals blow up. I'm telling you that on day one of a 365-day quota, that all of you are going to have misses and errors and bad days. I accept that. I won't accept failure.
Yep.
Get up, learn, tell me what you learned, because I will think I know, but I want to hear from you. And as long as you've learned, and again, you don't repeat mistakes, because the most expensive mistake to me is the one that's repeated. It means you didn't freaking learn the lesson the first time. And that's when I get upset. When you make that mistake again, then we're going to have a conversation. But yeah, first off, failure is only the folks that don't get up. That's just how I see it.
Yeah. And they create life, right? The way I see this is, they say good timber doesn't grow with ease, right? Good businesses, good entrepreneurs, good real estate investors, they don't get there with ease. There are going to be, like you said, these little, not failures, but learning lessons that we have to go through, right? And as you said that, I had a thought. What if we can change the word failure, because it's such a negative word, right, to more of I went through a learning lesson.
There you go. Yeah.
I went through a learning lesson, and this is where I'm at, versus I went through a failure, right? I've had a real estate office that I had to shut down with 30 agents that I had to literally let go. I could have easily looked at that as being one big failure. You failed. Everybody told you it wasn't going to happen, versus I learned what's next, right? And so for all of us, and make no mistake about it, we're going to make a mistake, right? We're going to make a mistake. But I love I think it was Warren Buffett who posted, he said, in order for you to become smart and wise, you first have to start learning from the poor decisions that you make. The poor decisions will help you eventually learn the right decisions. And in order for us to go through that, we're going to have to go through some failures. We're going to have to, in quotations, we're going to have some things that take our feet out. We hit our face on the ground, but we learn.
Yeah. And again, one of the big things that I've seen in people that are successful like you and Omar and all of my weekly experts is you're okay being uncomfortable. And because you're okay being uncomfortable, you accept that you may skin your knee, fall on the ground, whatever. It's kind of like part of the process. Anytime you get uncomfortable, you're just going to take a shot. And it frankly rarely works out. Right. So that's awesome. The other thing that I want people to realize is I have worked with people. I have helped people make millions of dollars in a year. I promise you this with every fiber of my body. You learn a lot more from a failure than a win. The people that were following alongside me on this one rental at a time journey, they got cocky and they forgot the principles and they thought they were Midas touch, and that didn't work out so well, right? You've got to sit back and learn the lessons sometimes. So you don't learn a lot when you're winning, but you learn a lot when you got to self-reflect and go forward, right? When you shut down an office, you probably learned and had some very internal conversations. You grew the office to 30. You're like, add 2 more. Why not? Who cares? Right? So that's another thing I wanted. When I think success and failure, what do you learn from it? It's usually it's pain, right? It's pleasure or pain. We seek one or the other. Unfortunately, most people learn from pain, right? Don't touch the hot stove, stuff like that.
Yep. But some of us just, fortunately, we hear it. We have to touch the hot stove. And then
Yeah. Oh, really? Are you sure? Oh, ow.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know anything. Oh, shit.
That is hot.
And another thing that I learned right off of the gate when I was doing a ton of door knocking and a ton of phone prospecting was to fail fast. So get rid of all of my, any failures that I was going to have at the beginning, from getting the door slammed on me, from me stumbling over my script, from me not being able to put words together. Get that out of the way fast. Get that out of the way as quick as possible so you can get there, right? I see this. Here's success, and there are all these little things that are going to try to stop you to get here. If you can get through these faster, the faster you're going to get here. So what does that mean? Meaning I had to double down on the phones. So instead of me spending 2 hours, I spent 4 hours, because I knew if I can double the time, I'm going to double the amount of time that I'm going to come across some failures, some roadblocks, and I'm going to learn from them. So for all of us, let's find a way, especially if you're new, find a way to fail fast so you don't have to make the errors 10, 15, 20 years from now. I am grateful that I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in my 20s, because guarantee you this, I won't be losing hundreds of $1,000s in my 30s. Hell no.
Not again. Hell no. Oh, that is awesome, man. I appreciate this conversation. Again, I saved it for you. How can people follow you, get part of your world? Because you put out some amazing stuff.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Instagram @Adrian Hernandez, YouTube @Adrian Hernandez.
Thanks, brother. Take care.
Appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.